This video is going to talk about linear relationships. Linear relationships have two things. You're going to be looking for the constant rate of change, and that is going to be represented by a straight line. It can either be a positive, a negative, or zero, which means it doesn't change. So those are the big things that you're going to look for in your graphs today. Example 1 says graph the equation y equals negative 2x plus 2. Okay, so the graph has already actually been made for you, but the reason I'm doing it this way is because whenever you have a test question like this, the graph would already be multiple choice. So I'm just going to point out the key factors to look at for the way the line goes so you can pick the right answer choice. The first thing you need to look for is, where does the line cross the y-axis? Well, this one is crossing right here. So that's the first thing I want to look at. It crosses the y-axis right there, which corresponds with the number at the end. So I'm going to label that. This is the number that's going to go, oh, I messed up. It's actually called the y-intercept, but I'm just going to put, this is the number that goes on the y-axis, just to make it a little simpler. The next thing on the list down here says number 2, look to see if the line is going up or down. Sometimes people have a hard time determining if it's going up and down because the line always has an arrow pointing up or an arrow pointing down. So if you look at it this direction, gosh, this is the part on my iPad that doesn't work good. All right, let's try that again. This type of line is going down. Which follows the path of this one. And if the line goes down, it means you need to have a negative number. So when you look at the equation, this number is a negative 2. Now when you come and look over at the graph, if you pick one dot and go to the second dot, it should go down 2 because that's what the equation is saying. So if I connect these two dots, it goes down 2. Then these two dots goes down 2. And that's really all you're looking for. Example 2 has a story problem, and it says an aquarium contains 50 gallons of water. The aquarium develops a leak and loses 4 gallons of water every hour. Write an equation that represents the number of gallons of water, y, in the aquarium x hours after leaks begin, and then graph the equation. So I've already graphed the equation for you, or it already has a picture of it. Right here, it's showing you that at 0 hours, it starts at 50 gallons, and then it starts to leak water, or it starts to decrease the amount of water that's in the aquarium. If you go back and you look really carefully at what the question was actually asking us for, it says write an equation. We've written equations a ton of times in class, so that's what I'm going to focus on. Write the equation. Equations are always supposed to be in this format for us if they're linear. Y equals, and then we have a number with multiplication, and then we have an extra number sticking out on the side. So the two numbers that we have in this problem are that the aquarium has 50 gallons of water and that it is losing 4 gallons of water. So the 50 is the starting amount. And if you're starting with it, oh gosh, my iPad again in this spot. I'm going to start with 50. That's going to be positive. And then loses means negative 4. And that's going to happen every hour. So when I come down here to write my equation, All I need to do is put those two numbers in the spot where they belong. If 4 is happening every hour, that means it's the one I'm going to multiply with. So -4 every hour. And then it says you started with 50. So I'm just going to say positive 50 because I actually had it. Y equals -4x plus 50. This is your final answer, and that's all you have to do. Example 3, there's already a graph for you to represent the dots that are in the table, but the question says write a linear equation that represents the relationship for the table. And again, it says then graph it, but we just already have the graph here for you. Whenever you write an equation, because that's what it wants, write the equation. In the previous slide, I just got through showing you that it needs to be in the form of y equals, then a number being multiplied, and then the starting amount. If you look at this table, the way it is counting by, the top row is counting by ones. So that's awesome. So I'm going to put ones. The bottom row, it's counting by 2. Sometimes it changes, but this one is counting by 2 all the way across. So now what I put is, it was counting by 2 all the way across the bottom, counting by ones all the way across the top. So 2 over 1 means just a 2. This number is how much it's increasing by every whatever increment this is. It increases every time. So that already tells me that the 2 is going to be the number that I multiply with. Now what's missing is the amount that I start with, which is going to be the number that goes right here at the end. When you have a table, the thing you're looking for is when x, if this number was 0, whatever underneath it would be what I start with, because at the beginning I have 0 things. Since this table doesn't have a 0 anywhere at the top, all I need to do is count backwards until I actually get to showing what 0 is. So I'm going to extend this table to the left so that I can count backwards in the same increments that the table already is showing. So if I had 4 and I back up 1, that would be 3. Then I back up another one and it's 2. Back up another one, 1, back up another one. This is where I get to my 0. And remember, on this side, it was counting by 2's on the bottom row. So when I get ready to back up, I'm going to have to be backing up 2 times before I put my number. If it used to be at 9 and I back up 2, that means 7. Back up 2 more, that means 5. Back up 2 more, that means 3. Back up 2 more, that means 1. Now that I've found out when the x is 0, right here, this is what I'm looking for again. When x is 0, that means I'm starting with 1. So that's the number that goes at the end plus 1. My equation is going to say y equals 2x plus 1, final answer. Last example that's in this video, again, this says write an equation. Write an equation for the graph that's shown below. 2 things we're going to look for again from the very beginning. We said let's look where the line crosses the y-axis. So if I go over here, this is my line. It travels all the way up. This is the location where it passes through or crosses the y-axis. So that's the first number that I need. It's going to be really super quick and fast. This number is -2. Then the next thing that I need to look for is, does this line go up or down? And then I'm just going to count how much it goes up or down. And earlier on the very, very beginning of the video, there were lines drawn that said positive or negative. This path, this means that it's going to be positive and it's going up. I'm going to have a positive number because the line is going up. Now the way for me to tell how much it's going up or down, I'm going to zoom. Let's see if I can do this. I guess not. Without moving everything. Okay, where the 2 was, I'm going to put a dot. Then I'm going to travel up the line and I'm going to find another space where this line crosses perfectly in a corner, which is going to be right here. Those 2 dots, if I needed to connect them, or I could keep going and even make another dot right here. If I connect these, I'm going to be going up 1 over 2. Up 1 over 2. That's what I'm doing. I went up 1 and I went over 2. So I'm going to put those 2 numbers together, and that's going to be up 1 over 2. That's the second number that I'm going to need to make my equation. I already had negative 2 up here where it touches the y-axis, and then when I connected the dots, it went up 1 and over 2. So if I write my final equation, it should say y equals, if it went up 1 and over 2, that means 1/2 x, and then I started at negative 2. Final answer for the equation to match this line, y equals 1/2 x minus 2.